said it. You compare Perry Eliano's recruiting to Tim Walton's, and lo and behold, here we go. In the last 5 days or so, Devin Sanchez coming in from Houston as the number one cornerback in the country, Kevin.
Yeah, super talented kid. I've seen him listed anywhere from 6'1" to 6'3". I had the opportunity when I was down in San Antonio to talk with him prior to his commitment, to tape a commitment piece in advance of him announcing at the All-American Bowl. I mean, he's every bit of 6'2", if not a little bit more. I mean, he's a kid that has just a long wingspan, can run. They really do not make a lot of corners like this from year to year. Mark Gibler over at Buckeye Huddle said that, he may be the best corner that they brought in since Jeff Okudah. And, a couple of Texans, Jeff Okudah from Dallas suburbs, Devin Sanchez from Houston. I think that this is just a huge get. And I think that certainly as long as Ohio State doesn't undergo any crazy adjustments in terms of what its coaching staff looks like, this will be a commitment that holds. But this is the kind of kid that can come in and immediately get right into the mix as a day one, roll in type of player. I mean, would he be a day one starter? I don't know. That's putting a lot of pressure on a kid who hasn't played a snap of his senior season. But I've certainly seen a lot of cornerback prospects through the years, and Devin Sanchez is about as impressive as they come.
You got to see him in June, obviously very impressive. And they need to load up on corners in this class because you could be if Denzel Burke is back, he'll be announcing today. If he plays next year, then obviously that would be the end of his career after that. So you need to replace him. If Jordan Hancock comes back, you'll need to replace him after 2024. I'm going to assume 2024 will be Davis Igbinosun's last year as well. He'll head to the NFL. So you're going to be losing your top three cover guys, presumably after next season. So Devin Sanchez is huge. Then you've got Dorian Brew, former Ohioan, now a Texan, the number 4 corner in the nation, who is announcing in a couple of weeks, and Ohio State is looking good there. And they've already got a commitment from Blake Woodby, one of the top corners in the nation out of Maryland. There's Trey McNutt, the Ohio State legacy, who is one of the top defensive backs in the nation. There's a lot of guys in this class that could help boost them back up in 2025 when they will be losing some really, really talented players, and that's including Lathan Ransom as well as safety, and who knows who else at that point.
Anything on the new cornerback, Steve?
I am sorry. That was my wife calling, so I had to jump off real quick to see what that was. In terms of Devin Sanchez, so much to like here because Texas obviously is a tremendous state, and for them to go into Houston with Tim Walton and land him, I think that's huge. We saw him, as Tony alluded to, at the camp at Ohio State last year in June. It was apparent everybody was fawning all over him. He's the number 4 ranked player in the country in the 2025 class, not cornerback in the country. He's ranked higher than the 2 great cornerbacks that they just took, Aaron Scott and Bryce West from Cleveland Glenville and Scott from Springfield. So you're cornering the market on great cornerback play, and they're going to get back to a period where you've got 2 or 3 impact corners, and it really changes what you can do defensively in terms of press man coverage, bringing blitz pressure, and not worrying about it because your top 2 corners have erased the opponent's top 2 wide receiver threats. And it just makes life so much easier across the board, makes the pass rush so much more effective when the quarterback has to stand back there and pat the ball and hope somebody comes open, and boom, he goes down. It's a coverage sack. And everything just flows so much better when you've got great coverage on the perimeter. And, Devin Sanchez, straight out of Central Casting, as you guys said, he's kind of listed a different, let's say he's 6'1", 6'2". That's a big corner. And to me, you can't have enough of those type guys on your roster. And you guys laid it out there perfectly that they have good corners now, very good corners. And they didn't lose a game this year because of their corners, to my way of thinking. Those guys are going to be gone in a year or two, and you need that next wave coming up through, and Tim Walton has done that. And I think he deserves so much credit. Coming from the National Football League, he could have just rested on the idea that, hey, I coached the NFL for the last 15 or 20 years. Come and learn from me. I'll put you in the NFL. But he has really worked the plan, and it looks like they're in line to also get Dorian Brew, who was an Ohio player who moved out of state this past year. Looks like they're in potential maybe to land him as well in the coming days as well, a 2025 guy. I think he was at Northmont in the Dayton area for a while. And then, Kevin, you probably know better. Did he go to Texas, to a high school down in Texas, or where did he – does that sound right?
Yeah, he's down there, but here's, spoiler alert. He is announcing on the 24th, which is his mother's birthday. His mother ran track at Ohio State. It would be something to announce on his mother's birthday when his mother is an Ohio State alum to opt to go elsewhere. So
and they have Ohio ties. The family has Ohio ties.
Take that as you will. And
do with that what you will.
Devin Sanchez said that he was already working on Dorian Brew. Ohio State has already been working on Dorian Brew when he was local. Dorian Brew was still making visits to Ohio State even after moving to Texas. So things are trending well. I know a lot of those crystal ball, RPM, whatevers are out there are all trending in the right direction. I think we will have some good news on that one coming up here in 2 weeks.
Well, and okay, let's just say you have 2 years of overlap with Bryce West and Aaron Scott, and then Brew and Devin Sanchez. As we saw the last half of the last few games of the season, if your best DBs are cornerbacks, then they are going to put the best players on the field, and there's no reason why 3 of those 4 can't be on the field together at any one given time in the 2 years that they are overlapped with one another. So, and obviously that first year in 25, Brew and Sanchez would be freshmen, and you wouldn't rush them into production, so to speak, beyond what they could handle. But you figure by midseason, all 4 of those guys could be rotating at the 3 cornerback spots, and because they're the most talented guys that they'd have. In my way of view, I mean, Matthews, I think, would still be there at that point too. So, you've got an embarrassment of riches at this position now. And to me, that cornerback and defensive end, in today's day and age, you can't do much better than that.
I also want to jump in for all of the recruiting fans out there, and certainly there were a couple questions that I saw, and I'll hit those quickly. Mika was asking if Ohio State is still recruiting London Merritt. Why wouldn't they? Are they going to land him? They've got a shot. Somebody also asked about through the portal, Chance Carroll, the offensive lineman out of UNC. I know that he was a role player in 22. I don't know really what he did in 23. Ohio State certainly is looking through, the portal at every option. I know at some points people feel that they're moving too slowly and not spraying offers, but they're going to do it the way that they're going to do it. I believe Ohio State needs to add another offensive lineman through the portal. But as for the player who's announcing today, Zahir Mathis out of Philadelphia, defensive edge, 6'6", 225. He's announcing at 1 p.m. today over on Rivals. And if I'm an Ohio State fan, I'm probably trying to seek that out and find it. And I'll leave it at that. But, a tremendous player, one of those smaller type of edges that maybe Ohio State, has not benefited from as much in a lot of past seasons.
And in terms of Chance Carroll, he didn't start at all this year, so I wouldn't get worked up about that. Not everybody that jumps into the portal everybody that jumps into the portal is sometimes an assumed upgrade over what Ohio State has. That's not necessarily the case there. So yeah, that's back real quick back to the defensive backs. You got, I mean, they've had a freshman start at corner each of the last 3 years, at least one game. Denzel Burke started an entire season. Jair Brown started the 4th game of his career. Jermaine Matthews started a game this year. Like you take as many as you can get, and the way with Jim Knowles' defense when they're playing 5 defensive backs so often, and if a corner can't play corner, there's a chance he can play nickel. If he can't play nickel, there's a chance he can play safety. So you bring as many in as you can, and then you sort it out because the portal, the draft, all of that will sort it out.